The latest to walk, Congressman Mark Green, chair of the Homeland Security Committee, friend of the show, resigning after 3 terms. I should say resigning, not running for re-election.
Right.
You and I have known each other for a long time.
Yep.
No surprise to anyone that I'm a big fan of yours, both personally and professionally. But quitting's not a term I would ever associate with you.
Yeah, Night Stalkers don't quit, right? I'm not quitting, though, really. I got done what I promised I'd get done. And, the founders were very clear. They didn't want these people to come up here and just be here forever, professional politicians. It was supposed to be citizen legislators. And so
you were supposed to be making a sacrifice, right? There were supposed to be things that were better for you than doing Congress.
Yeah, and I would say that's the case for a lot of people in Congress. They've walked away from running companies and doing things, being a fireman, and doing the things they love to serve the country, and then get here and
kind of like it.
Serve their some do. Some like it and they stay. But I don't think that's, the impeachment has gotten me into the Constitution even more, right? I'm looking at
impeaching Mayorkas.
Impeaching Mayorkas, right?
Okay.
And so it's got me thinking about this stuff, and I'm digging into it and saying, this is what the founders really intended. I'm supposed to come here, do a few years, provide my expertise, accomplish what I said as my agenda. I've done it. I've got one other thing I want to do, and I can get that done the rest of the year.
All right, so you talk about the founders. The one thing I always hear, the 2 things that they didn't ever think about in their genius was term limits and age limits, because you were making a sacrifice. You were leaving your farm, you were leaving your law practice, whatever it was. You were coming to Washington. It was a terrible journey. You couldn't ride 3 days on your horse at 75 years old. Is 3 terms the right number?
Well, it is for me because I got it done and got done what I.
Some people aren't going to get it done in 10 terms. So
maybe they get voted out of office.
Okay.
I don't know.
So term limits, we'll move that on. What? I'll flip this around because we can all talk for all night about what doesn't work in Washington. What does?
Well, I think the system of inside the parties, how information gets spread around, is working pretty good. I think messaging. I
don't know what that means. Inside.
Well, how each party conducts its business and its internal meetings and things like that, I think are done very well. I think the steering process is done very well. How, at least on the Republican side, how we pick chairman, I think is a very effective process. It's merit-based on our side.
Well, says the guy who gets a gavel on a major committee for the first time in 70 years for a guy who's done it in 3 terms. So, okay. How do we get rid of the professional politician class?
Really, I believe it's got to be in the electorate. I mean, people have to vote, and you can. It has to do a little bit with redistricting, how the districts are drawn, and people just have to vote and get new blood in there. I tell young people who come to me and say, "Hey, I want to run for Congress," and I'm like, "Go back and get a job, get an expertise, bring something to the table," and that's who we got to pick to be in Congress, or those folks that have an expertise. I mean, the breadth of information that comes before a United States congressman is enormous. And I have a pretty good breadth with my experience, but I still don't know the timber industry. I mean, we need somebody in there who knows the timber industry. So, we need to have citizen legislators writing the laws of this country.
Fair enough. Doctor, businessman, Army, you went through Ranger School. That all said, I guess the issue maybe isn't not how much getting good people, because I think at times we do, and we get some interesting folks up here. How do you get them to leave?
How do you get them to leave? Well, I guess what I'm saying is vote them out of office if if they're not doing the job. But if they're doing the job, maybe you want them. I will say experience has some advantages. For example, the bureaucracy is not term limited. All they'd have to do, if we were truly term limited, wait us out. Nothing changes. We can't do that, right? If we're going to term limit Congress, you got to term limit the bureaucracy in the administration.
Interesting. Biggest lesson learned?
I think the biggest lesson learned is that my party is representing its districts. So you've got completely different Republican districts, and those Republican congressmen are voting for their district. On the other side of the aisle, they're voting for their ideology, and they never vary. And that means the only way a Republican-controlled agenda can happen is we've got to have a big majority.
Small majority, not much happens.
Not much happens. Because our folks are really trying hard to represent their districts. I mean, Fitzpatrick versus my district is 2 different districts. And, he has to vote a little differently than I do. I understand that. To represent his people, not because he believes necessarily different. I mean, this is representative democracy. So.
Right. Well, I have to say, congratulations. There's not a lot of people who do what you do and leave voluntarily, especially after a big accomplishment. So congratulations there. And we hope that if there's an announcement to be made in the future, you'll make it here, all right?
Absolutely, Lee.
All right, Chairman, it's good to see you. Thank you very much. Need more people like him in Washington.